Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DMV Confidential. I'm Kenzie Chase.
And I'm Jenny Gable.
And today we have a brand new episode for you. The story we want to talk to you guys about today is about a 26-year-old woman who was found murdered beside her unborn baby boy in Montgomery County back in 2022. Although the thing that's interesting about this case is that it actually didn't start with her. It actually started with a search warrant being executed in a different case. So right now you can actually see the search warrant executed, and this is actually from a case also in 2022.
Yeah, so as you can see, police were executing the search warrant at that Montgomery County apartment. That's at the Enclave Apartments in the Silver Spring area. And it actually all started on the afternoon of December 8th, 2022. Around 3 p.m. that day, when Montgomery County police officers and medics responded to the Shell gas station on New Hampshire Avenue for a reported shooting. And when they got there, they found the cashier at the time behind the register, 61-year-old Ayalewu Wandimu, who had been shot, and he was behind the register and was pronounced dead there.
Yeah, and according to surveillance video, they actually showed that 31-year-old Torrey Moore was the one who entered the store, and just before 3 p.m., he was seen selecting a soft drink. I believe it was an iced tea, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And he's seen going over to the counter as if to pay for it, and then they kind of have some sort of conversation, some sort of dialogue, but then it escalates, and the store clerk is seen pulling up a pole.
Yeah, he pulled out what appeared to be like a metal pole and started telling 31-year-old Torrey Moore to leave the store.
Yeah. And that's when Torrey is then seen pulling out a gun and then shooting the store clerk.
Yeah.
And not just once, but he actually then reaches over the counter and shoots him several times.
Yeah. And that part was definitely interesting to me as well, because it kind of shows the argument of self-defense. You know, if he had been afraid of Wandimu, maybe reaching for the pole, but the fact that he leaned over the counter and then appeared to shoot him several more times in the footage.
Longer self-defense at that point.
Right.
So I think that was something that investigators are definitely looking at. And also, Jenny, he also was banned from this gas station previously. So this isn't the first time he's had some sort of incident at this location.
Yeah, it appears that they got into some sort of altercation, and Torrey was seen on the footage kind of throwing what appeared to be energy drink shots at Wandimu before he reached for the pole, and then that's when he ultimately shot him. But he had been, as you mentioned, Kenzie, previously banned from the gas station there.
So this actually all leads us, this is all just basically background information to how we get to where we are in this case. So the story we actually want to talk to you about today is about the store clerk, but it's also about the murder of 26-year-old Denise Middleton.
Yeah, so the next day was December 9th, and as you guys saw in the earlier footage, police executed the search warrant at Torrey Moore's apartment at the Enclave. They had kind of tracked him there it was across the street from the Shell gas station, and they executed that warrant, and when they got there, that's when they found Denise Middleton and her unborn baby boy.
Yes, and what you're seeing right now is actually some footage of her and Torrey inside the elevator just before they get out and go to the apartment.
Yeah, and police believe that in that footage, which we'll get into a little bit more later, but that was the last time she was actually seen alive.
Yeah, and that is just so heartbreaking when you think about it. And she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant at the time.
She was nearly 9 months pregnant.
I mean, at 8 months, you can have the baby. I mean, a lot of babies are premature, and I didn't even know my own niece. I mean, I believe she was premature, and
she was nearly to full pregnancy term. So it is definitely just a horrible, sad situation. But yeah, so police, they found her and the unborn baby in the apartment. They, without getting into too much graphic detail, they kind of described them both in a state of being
advanced decomposition.
Yeah, that they had been severely kind of decomposed, that they had been there for some time. So that launched a bigger investigation to what exactly happened.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to the moments that we know before her murder, We're actually going to show you a video of the interaction before they even get into the elevator. And to me, it's very telling of just sort of the dynamic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So here's them actually walking into the lobby, and she doesn't look very happy. Neither of them look very happy in this moment. She's seen motioning to him, and then
This is the part that really...
yeah, he grabs her, and she very hesitantly runs in front of him and keeps going. So it's very telling to me, at least, that they weren't in a good place at the time of this incident, and just the fact that she pulled away, and you can see it right there, and that he grabbed her and pulled her.
You can definitely tell from their body language, and also just the fact that, again, he kind of appeared to like pull and push her. And again, like as you mentioned earlier, Kenzie, Denise is 8 months, nearly 9 months pregnant at this point when this video was taken. So
you would think that, and it is confirmed. Like she did at least tell him that was his child too. So the mother of your child, you would want to handle her with extreme care. Yeah. And extreme gentleness, you would think, catering to her more or less.
Yeah, and when SWAT found her, Denise, it appeared that she had been shot, and an autopsy actually further showed that she'd been shot around 7 times. And it also determined that the baby boy was a viable fetus, which basically means, as we were discussing earlier, that if she were to have delivered the baby and this wouldn't have happened, he would have survived.
Yeah, something I also want to point out is that at this point, there was no like missing persons report for her or anything like that. So I thought that was odd. And I also found it odd that, no one heard these gunshots.
I did find that too very interesting, because I've lived in several apartment buildings, and like anybody that's lived in an apartment, that you're like in close quarters with a lot of people. Sometimes you can hear your neighbors. Like that was something I was confused about as well.
Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of the timeline. So that footage was taken in October, October 2022.
Yes.
So before we kind of dive in a little bit more to the timeline, we're going to talk about what his explanation is for all of this.
Yeah, so that footage was from around October 2022, I believe early October. And again, she was found with her baby, I believe December 9th. So it had been a couple months after this surveillance footage. But police, when they arrested Torrey for this, and when they kind of spoke to him and questioned him, he gave them kind of his own account of what had happened and what had led up to her death, and kind of painted this picture for investigators. So he actually told police that sometime in October of 2022, he went to New York City to bring Denise back to Maryland.
Yeah. And according to a family member that we'll talk more about later, she reportedly was in New York City to try to get away from him, according to this family member, according to her cousin.
Yeah, the cousin did mention that the last time she had talked to Denise, that it seemed like Denise went to New York to get away from him, as you said, Kenzie. So, but he told officers that he left for New York right after he actually contacted them about a vandalism to his apartment door.
And there was reports of a vandalism filed around October 5th.
Yeah. So they were able from there to kind of place this timeline and kind of see. He also told them that on the day of Denise's death, when they got back to his apartment in Maryland, that they had left his apartment to go get food. And on the way back, they were kind of arguing, kind of having
we
a
saw
spat.
It. We saw that she was not happy. They clearly looked like they were having some sort of argument. In fact, actually, in that first footage, I think we can actually see here. Let me see if I can pull it up. We can actually see that it looks like he's also telling someone to sort of not come into the elevator.
Yeah, it appears he kind of like puts his hand up, like maybe hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're clearly like upset. They're not really talking to each other. She seems
kind of moves away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely doesn't appear to be a good situation.
Yeah, and Torrey even admits to certain like altercations that happen, like certain physical things that happen. He said he might have choked her a bit. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I think he said maybe a slap was probably thrown, and that's in quotes, according to court documents.
Yeah.
He said that he told her to stop putting on a show when they were arguing.
And that he also said that Middleton was, quote, acting like I was trying to kill her. Which is crazy.
Definitely alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, they were in this argument. It appeared the footage kind of places them there at this time. That's the last time she's really seen. But then he tells police that he actually left the apartment. He said to go purchase marijuana is what he told officers. And that when he returned about an hour later, that's when he found Denise dead in the bedroom. And that he actually found a gun in his apartment that wasn't his.
Yeah, so his logic is that they had this argument.
Mm-hmm.
He went back up to his apartment, and then he left to go get marijuana, and he came back and he just found her dead already. Again, if that was the time frame, there was no police report of that incident at the time, so I don't know what his explanation was for that, if he gave one. But that's his argument, is that he just sort of found her there already. And then he left for California for a month.
Yeah, so then he actually left for over a month, I think, went to California, and that he told them that he had actually recently just came back when the incident with the store clerk happened. And he said he actually did tell officers as well, which we'll get into a little bit more, that he did confess to killing Wandimu, the store clerk, but he denied killing Denise, and he said that he believes the same gun was used, but that gun, again, was found in his apartment when he found her.
Yeah, and that argument actually kind of ties in. So the evidence that is collected from the scene kind of does corroborate some of what he's saying. Like, it's definitely the same gun that's used in both cases. The shell casings from the store clerk incident and this incident tie back to the same gun that he was seen using.
Yeah. And they found the similar same shell casings near Denise's body in the bedroom as well. So they definitely were kind of able to place that this was the same gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as other evidence, I mean, we also do have surveillance of him leaving, which he did say he did.
Yes.
So I'm gonna play that clip for you real quick, but this is actually him leaving after leaving Denise at his apartment.
Yeah. So
what he says is this was during the time that he went to go get marijuana, but
yeah, I guess this footage for him could have been, this is when I left her when we were arguing, but investigators definitely noted that this was something of concern, that he was seen leaving the apartment out of the elevator and she's not.
Yeah,
there.
And there he is just drinking his what is that, iced tea and a nice coffee or something.
There was somebody else in the elevator as well who's not connected to this at all in the corner.
That person in the corner. But that's also crazy to me that someone was just in this elevator with the person right after
something like this took place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely scary.
Yeah, so then we kind of have cell phone data and more evidence that are collected about Torrey and kind of charging him in connection to this case. So we actually do find out that, his cell phone data show that Moore traveled for around 26 days. And Jenny, this part gives me actual chills because some of his search history, which we know isn't reliable, but some of his search history says, quote, how long does it take for a dead body to smell?
Yeah.
And, quote, how to remove a dead body without being seen.
Yeah, so definitely some disturbing searches that investigators found when looking at his search engine history there. And again, at this point, she hadn't been seen alive since the footage. He's traveling or had traveled for a long period of time, and then they find this stuff on his search history.
Yeah, and the thing that I also find, I don't know, if he really came back and found his pregnant girlfriend dead, he just left for California.
Right
after, didn't make a police report, is searching all of these things, how to remove it. If you're innocent, why didn't you call the cops?
Oh my gosh, my girlfriend was found. I walked home and found her. Right. Because again, as you said, they didn't find her until December. This happened reportedly in October.
Yeah.
So
the only logical explanation is he was worried that police were going to look into him.
Yeah.
Which they do.
Yeah. It's a very, very weird situation for sure. But I guess based on all the evidence that police are able to gather from the guns and the shell casings and his search history, everything, he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder for Denise's death and her unborn baby's death as well.
Yeah, so he was charged for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
For both. And I think this was the first time maybe that there was even a charging. Was there for the first time that there was someone charged with an unborn fetus?
I believe so. And I think
This is, regardless, this is a very unusual situation in Montgomery County. And he actually was held without bond. And at some point during this, remember, he is currently like facing charges for this case, for like the pregnant woman, the baby, and for the store clerk. Because remember, we still have that store clerk from the very beginning that sort of
kind of sparked the rest of the investigation.
Launched this investigation to all these other things. He at one point during all of this was like, there was a question about whether he was competent to even stand trial.
Yeah, I believe they were trying to figure out if he needed further evaluation and everything in the case. So at one point, I think it was a bit delayed while they were trying to figure out if he could even stand trial for this. Because again, it's the murders of 3 people.
Yeah. Well, so the community, rightfully so, is just shocked. I mean, what do you even say to that? That happened in your apartment. It's not just a woman, but it's a woman and her baby. You find out that he also went and, is accused of killing a store clerk.
And I think the part about the community aspect that we kind of touched on earlier is that they seem to raise concerns about, how did this go undetected for so long? I believe one community resident that DC News Now, we talked to at the time, she said that management hadn't yet notified them that a body was found where they lived. This was shortly after Denise was found. And they also said that, quote, I think that it's crazy because our portal to make requests has been down for 2 months. So they were saying that even if there were requests about an odor or anything that management wouldn't have known.
And that's what we had talked about earlier was the fact that, police said no one had reported smelling anything odd. But here are residents being like, well, no one could even if they wanted to. One person saying like, I tried to. And the other person, like they're saying it's also been down. Even if we wanted to report something wrong, it was like, like we couldn't. So it's just crazy to think that like if you were a resident there, just like, first of all, there were gunshots in that apartment that no one really heard.
Yeah.
There was a smell that went
undetected for
at least
a while.
I don't want to say reported because people are saying that they reported it, but you know what I mean? Like police didn't have information about
police
this.
weren't notified at all about any of it. So it's definitely raises further concerns and issues for people that live there. I mean, I know if I lived there, I would be very concerned and
especially
worried.
if you were one of those people that have been like smelling that odor for like over a period of time and being like, that's what that smell was. I
would definitely think I would not want to stay there.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah,
no,
just a horrible
absolutely not.
situation. And I believe at the time, we reached out to the apartment and did not hear back. But that was something that residents were definitely concerned about there. They're like, well, police are saying no one reported the smell, but they don't believe that to be true.
Yeah. And
and
that family was also kind of upset, rightfully so. Not kind of, they were very upset.
Yeah.
And they actually describe her as just, I mean, my gosh, she was about to be I think she was a mother, whether, you have the baby or not. I think once you're pregnant, you're a mom. So she was a mother and was excited to be a mother.
Yeah, she was so young too, and only 26 years old. And I know at the time her family released a statement and they said, quote, she was so excited to become a mom. She told everyone who would listen. Her heart was so big and she always made sure you knew she loved you. So they really just kind of described her as this loving, caring person who was so excited to be a boy mom, to have a baby boy. Yeah.
And they even describe her as being witty and loving and just, I mean, the way that they describe her is like, I just feel like that boy would have felt so loved by her.
Yeah.
Had they been given that chance.
Yeah. It's a really, really sad sad situation. They also kind of said that they were heartbroken that this was her story and reality. They also did mention the baby's name. Apparently Denise had named the baby Ezekiel.
Oh, that's such a good name.
Yeah. So it's just a horrible situation. But they wanted people to remember her as a loving person. Her one cousin, actually, Temperist, said they grew up in the same home and they were more like sisters, and that Denise went to do hair school professionally, and she loved fashion and makeup. And
yeah, and they also just describe her laugh as being like infectious. And I mean, this sounds like someone that you would want to be friends with. That you know, that I feel like there are certain people that come into this world and you just know that they're going to be good parents.
Yeah.
They're going to like give it their all. And you would hope everyone that is going to do that, obviously, but there are some people that just have that sort of natural gift and just is so excited to be a parent. And from what her family has said, it sounds like Denise was that woman. She wanted to be a mom, and she didn't get that chance.
Yeah, and I think it kind of just goes back to, I believe it might have been the state's attorney at the time, or maybe it was a detective. Someone else had mentioned that, in cases with, homicides on pregnant women, it's not typically the first time that there's some sort of domestic violence there.
Yeah,
so
because this also, going back to the timeline, investigators do believe that she was killed sometime between, her last being seen in that elevator and when Torrey comes back out and is seen by himself. And that happened in October, in Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And how many cases Jenny, even in just our time that we've been doing this show, we've seen a lot of domestic violence cases.
Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. And I think you actually just reminded me as well that I believe the Washington Post reported that he actually was wanted out of Norfolk, Virginia, for, I believe, some sort of assault on her previously. So this didn't appear to be kind of the first time.
And I also go back to the fact that her cousin said she was in New York City trying to maybe get away from him, and how much safer she would have been if she could have stayed in New York City. Yeah. It's really just, I'm sometimes without words when we describe some of these cases, because it really is just, these are real people.
Yeah. I think it goes also back to the importance of resources for women in these situations, pregnant women, just women, people in general who are experiencing domestic violence, and the importance of awareness for that and resources for people who maybe feel like there's no other way.
In fact, I think it's almost Domestic Violence Awareness Month right now as we're recording this episode. So, in fact, I think we're going to add a little blurb. We're going to add a hotline or a resource for you guys to call on our video. Because I think that'll be good for anybody who's listening to this podcast and is trying to figure out how they can seek help. Because we do need to come together as a community to figure out how we can solve this.
Yeah, because I think assaults and things like that in relationships like this can definitely lead to something bigger oftentimes when there's not, resources available or intervention and things like that.
Yeah. And something that we had talked about that also I think family members were also concerned about is that there was no missing persons. And so family members, I don't think it was like necessarily even neglect. I think family members just didn't even really think about it. Or one, like the same cousin that we have already talked about several times, she said like she couldn't believe that they had gone this long without knowing.
Yeah, without knowing that she was even no longer alive.
Yeah. So we're actually going to talk about what happens with all of this, because we talked about what an amazing woman Denise was, what an amazing mom she was going to be. And now we're going to kind of talk to you about what actually happens with this case.
Yeah, so it was May 2024 when a jury actually convicted Torrey Moore of shooting and killing the store clerk. And then a few months after that, November 22nd, 2024, he was actually convicted for killing Middleton and her unborn child. And this was actually a historic conviction because it was the first time in Montgomery County that someone had been convicted for murdering a viable fetus.
Yeah. And this would have been his third murder conviction because he was convicted on these cases separately pretty much. So, I mean, he was convicted in all three. 3 people's lives that he took. It's baffling. So then on Friday, May 30th, 2025, a Montgomery County judge ordered him to serve 3 consecutive life sentences plus an additional 80 years in prison for the shooting and killing of his then pregnant girlfriend, the unborn child, and the store clerk back in 2022. So his charges, I mean, stem from first-degree murder, commission, like use of a handgun in the commission of a felony, violence against a pregnant person, illegal possession of a firearm. Like, these are serious charges. And I don't, like, this historic sentencing, I mean, it just shows that, you know, sometimes they do get, like, the justice does get served.
Yeah. I think it's just really, I mean, I can't even imagine as a family, I'm sure this was very important for them that he, you know, was sentenced to the fullest extent here because it wasn't only, you know, Denise and baby Ezekiel, but also the store clerk, you know, 3 lives that were ruined by this.
And the store clerk just is kind of so random to me too because it was just like someone he didn't even really know. Yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely a horrible situation, but the sentencing was definitely historic for the county, county there.
So that's kind of what wraps up this case. So he will be serving the remainder of his life in prison. If you guys want to keep watching more of these episodes and stay up to date with us and figure out how some of these end, if you also want to get resources, if you're a victim of domestic violence, please check out our resources so that you can get the help that you need.
Yeah, we'll have resources below on the screen, and just be sure to tune in for our next episode of DMV Confidential and keep up with us on air and online.
And we'll see you then.